Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
We've got a little bit of being a little flexible this morning. The food is coming, so when it gets here, be as discreet as possible, but you can get up and get some and then come back to your seat. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have with us today Dr. Gary Stallman, earned his degree in medicine in 1990 from Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. He completed his residency at Vanderbilt University Medical Center with the Department of Orthopedics and Rehabilitation, and later performed a fellowship in surgery of the spine at the Carolinas Medical Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. He is board certified by the American Board of Orthopedic Surgery. Dr. Stallman joined Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance in August of 1996. He specializes in surgery of the spine and total joint replacement. Dr. Stallman has numerous publications and several book chapters about the spine to his credit. His research has been presented at several national meetings. Before attending medical school, Dr. Stallman earned a Bachelor of Science degree in bioengineering at the University of California at Berkeley. And in his time away from the office, which I'm sure he has a lot of, he enjoys cycling, photography, cooking, and spending time with his wife and looking for new adventures. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Gary Stallman.
Good morning. Thank you for that nice introduction. It makes me sound much more important than I am. So I thank you for coming today. Thanks for having me. If I ignore you guys, I apologize. I'm going to kind of look everywhere, okay? Okay. Sorry, he told me that too. Anyway, so I know in this room everybody does different things, from sitting at a desk to out there heavy manual labor, but we're all basically the same, built the same way, and we can all get into trouble with our backs because we're all built the same way. So what I thought we'd do is I want to make this as lighthearted and as interesting as possible without getting too technical. See if we can get you some information. I feel kind of at a disadvantage because they haven't fed you guys, and so the natives could be restless. But anyway, so I'm going to have some a little video clips that I've kind of done the American thing and stolen off the internet. I would demonstrate these things myself, but just to let you know, I'm actually going to have my hip replaced tomorrow morning. So I can't sit down very easily, and I can't stand up very easily. So if I wince in pain, it's not because I'm here, it's because my hip hurts. Anyway, so let's be started. I'm going to direct you guys' attention. Don't look at me, I'm ugly. The pictures are a lot better than me. So anyway, so basically, I'm a spine surgeon. Basically, I take care of the neck to the butt and everything in between. And I hope that none of you need my services, because people who deal with chronic problems with their back or acute back injuries, it really can be terrible. I'm sure some of you have had to deal with that, and it's a hard thing to deal with. So basically our topics today, we're going to talk a little bit about the spine, what it is, why it's so great, but why it can also be a problem. We're going to talk a little bit about proper sitting techniques, proper lifting techniques, and then some little bullet point topics about general health care of your spine in general. Okay, so this is one of my first stolen videos. Tell me if you can't hear it. It's got a little bit of sound.
When people hear ergonomics, they often think of this, but in truth, ergonomics is simply fitting the workplace to the worker, rather than the other way around. And that includes lots of workplaces: construction, manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, you get the idea. So today, we're going to cover some ergonomic basics that apply to virtually any workplace. These include proper posture, managing forces, and excessive repetitive motion. Ready? Let's start with posture. Sitting, standing, walking, it really doesn't matter. Proper bone and joint alignment is key. So straighten up that back, keeping ears, shoulders, and hips in a straight line. Good. Now squat by hinging at the hip. Keep everything aligned. Now sit. Perfect. Maintaining that posture through your day and work, any work, will reduce fatigue, eliminate strains, decrease stress on joints and ligaments, and have you feeling great. If posture is good, forces are evil. Why? Because they assault your posture constantly. There are lift and carry forces, grip forces, push and pull forces, and just plain old gravity. Hey, let's help you out with this. To avoid injury, don't lift, pull, or push too much. Let your posture guide you. And if need be, get help or use a hand truck or other tool. Also, move that body. If you stand up a lot for work, sit. If you've been sitting, stand up. Every change is an opportunity to realign and think about your posture. Our last Ergo 101 topic is repetitive motion. Doing the same task over and over and over and over and over and over. Well, you get the point. Repetitive motions from jobs like these can cause carpal tunnel syndrome, joint problems, poor circulation, and more. Fortunately, these injuries are easy to avoid. First, by arranging your work area to fit you and support good posture, and second, by stretching. Stretches like this, or this, or this, well, maybe not that. Every 30 to 60 minutes can make a world of difference and prevent injury. Show off. Let's recap. Ergonomics is all about fitting your work environment to you. So set up your station to support good posture. Be mindful of posture, reduce forces, and take breaks to stretch and realign yourself. Do all that, and you'll be on your way to being more efficient, more productive, and healthier. For tip sheets on setting up workstations and the ergonomics quiz, click the link on your screen.
Anyway, so a quick topic about ergonomics. Ergonomics is really, like they say, fitting the job and your body together. Probably the most common things we see, stop that. Go to the next one. There we go. Damn computers. Okay, so ergonomics is actually very important in everybody's life because the most common things that we see leading to injuries of the spine are bad mechanics. So, you know, the classic thing is the bend, lift, and twist maneuver, picking up a box off the floor, twist, pick something up, oh my God, my back went out. And that's really because the forces on the spine are magnified by that type of posture. So let's talk a little bit about the spine itself. Get to the pictures. There we go. So the spine, it's a magical structure in your body. You know, it's actually probably one of the more complex mechanical structures in your body. As it shows up here, 25 bones, 23 discs, 48 joints. Basically, it's got lots of moving parts. The purpose of the spine is really three things. Keep you upright, allow you to move, and protection of the inside parts, like what your guts and your intestines and stuff like that, and particularly the nervous system, the nerves that run from your brain down to your body parts to allow us to move. The trouble with the spine is it's an extremely complicated structure, and little teeny parts can go out of whack and multiply in the problems. And so it works really well when it wants to work, but there's a lot of ways that it can go south, and you know that's where people get into trouble. Posture does matter. As your mother told you when you were a kid, stand up straight, don't slouch. It's actually important this day and age in modern society where we spend so much time at a desk or in a car or not moving the way our bodies were meant to move. We get weaker in the core, which is basically from your shoulders to your butt. We get less flexible, and all of that type of change in our posture increases pain, increases fatigue, deconditioning, adding on to that being out of shape, allows us to not be able to do things with as much endurance as we'd like. I mean, think about it. We were designed a gazillion years ago to be hunter-gatherers in the environment. You know, we were out there moving all the time. We didn't live long because we died of getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or falling off of a mountain or getting an infection. But our bodies were designed to move. And unfortunately, modern society, making things, quote unquote, simpler for us with sitting and whatnot, has actually been a problem in longevity. So think about that whenever you're out working in your job environment, whatever that might be, that good posture, changing positions, staying fit, healthy, and conditioned are all important to keep us as comfortable and as functional as possible. This is my only scientific slide here. This was a study done where they actually put needles in the discs, which are the rubbery shock absorbing pads in between the bones in the spine, in volunteers, and they measured the pressure inside the discs. The theory behind that is the more pressure on the disc, the more chance there is of damaging the disc. So you can see here the lowest pressure was when people were lying flat on their back, a little bit more lying on your side, all the way up here, which is bending forward with weight in your arms, outstretched. So this position out here, it puts your back at a really big disadvantage. I look at the firefighters in the room, I go, you do this every single day. And so that's where protecting our bodies by working on core strength and flexibility can help protect our discs. So why do people get back pain? Well, the snarky answer is because you have a back. I mean, literally 95% or greater people, adults, have at least one episode of back pain that takes them to the doctor in their adult life. Okay? It's a fact of life. It doesn't happen because of bad living. It doesn't happen because of various circumstances typically. It happens because we're upright species and we have this magical thing called a spine. There are some factors, however, that do increase the chance of developing back pain problems, and the number one is genetics, how your parents programmed your body to wear out. As we age, the moving parts are the things that wear out, so the discs and the joints are the things that wear out, and that's really genetically programmed, okay? So you'll see people who have had back problems, and they have brothers and sisters, fathers, mothers who've had back problems. You see that all the time. Aging is probably the next big factor. Just as parts wear out, things start to go awry. Trauma and bad luck, lifestyle choices, if you will, is kind of number three. Those are three things that we can't control. We have no control over those wherever we are in life. The second three are things that we do have some ability to change. We do know obesity and deconditioning, being out of shape, works on that whole posture concept, and staying in shape, staying fit, working on core strength can help minimize people's back pain problems. Sedentary lifestyle, same kind of thing. Stay active. The body's meant to be moving. It's not meant to be sitting in a truck or a car. And so we try to avoid a sedentary lifestyle. And the last thing, the big red thing, is smoking. Cigarette smoking is probably the number one modifiable thing, the thing that you can change to decrease the deterioration of your body, particularly the spine. It's not just bad for your heart and lungs, it's bad for anything that moves in your body. So, the concept again is stay fit, stay moving. If we can do that, we can help to minimize, we can't make it zero, but we can help minimize the possibility of getting in trouble. So we're going to talk first about sitting techniques. People who know me know I'm a dog person, so I look for funny dog pictures everywhere I can find them. Proper sitting techniques, again, it's fitting the environment to your body. So, little people in big chairs, big people in little chairs, mismatch like that can be a real problem. Sit up straight, back straight, shoulders back, kind of like your mom used to say. Keep the curves in your spine, meaning you have a curve in your lower back that curves backwards and a curve in your neck that curves backwards. Keep you looking upright. Distribute your body weight evenly. Try not to sit on one butt cheek or another. Kind of knees at the right angle. We're talking mostly at the desk here. Knees at the right angle, feet on the floor, and support your back in your lower spine, particularly when you're driving. Car seats are horrible. No seat is really well fitted, even with good lumbar support and whatnot. It can be a real challenge to fit every single body with a limited number of seats. So think about those kind of ideas when you're forced to sit, such as an office or in your truck or car or something like that. So here's a little bit more information about sitting techniques and whatnot. A little video number 2.
Hi, I'm Shelby Cass. I'm a certified ergonomist, and I'm here today at Animation Mentor to give a little talk to you creatives out there. Probably the most important thing to set up first is your chair. When you sit in a chair, you want your knees to be at the same height as or slightly below your hips, and your feet planted firmly on the ground. From the front of the seat pan to the back of the leg, you want at least 1 to 4 fingers. So it's important that your chair have an adjustable seat pan slider so that when you sit all the way back, you can have that little gap. Separate from the entire pan, you need to be able to adjust your seat back. I'm going to raise this one up, clear the flat part of my back, my sacrum. I'm going to snug it right back down so it starts right where my body starts to curve inwards. And then I'm going to adjust the angle so that it's just sitting behind me. It's just supporting my natural curves. Lock that in place. Now, without trying, I'm actually sitting pretty well. And from here, then you can turn around and look at your desk and see what needs to come.
So now sit at your desk.
Hi, I'm Shelby Cass. I'm a certified ergonomist, and I'm here today at Animation Mentor to give a little talk to you creatives out there interested in learning a little bit about ergonomics. So, you definitely want the elbow to be underneath the shoulder. That's one of the first things you're going to look for before you start to work. If your work makes you move away from that position, you're going to be in a non-neutral position and you're probably going to start slouching a little bit. But I would probably want her to sit a little bit closer to her keyboard, so I'm just going to reach right now. Do you use the number pad portion of your keyboard?
Not a lot.
So if you didn't have this, you could put this here, then come in and key and not have to reach forward to access your keyboard. Get this as close as you can to actually force yourself back into your chair so that even if it's a habit that you go forward, your eyes are going to say, I don't think so, and they're going to bring you back into your chair.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Anyway, so again, sitting is terrible for our backs. Our bodies weren't designed to sit for long periods of time, but modern lifestyle forces us to do that. So for those of us who sit at a desk all day long, finding a position where we're essentially in neutral position, where everything seems to be kind of relaxed and is comfortable, is really the best way to be. So now moving on more toward the more physical type, the proper lifting concepts. I think the biggest thing that we need to do for that is to make sure we're not lifting more than we can and make sure that we address the lift in an appropriate way. And what I mean by that is essentially get down to it, get it close to your body, and move the body as a unit. The bend, lift, twist is the hard thing on your discs and on your back, and that's where most people get into trouble with a lifting injury. So let's just look at a little bit of a lift technique video, and then we can, sorry, stop that. There.
That's specifically to us, trying not to let down on us, or teach the people like it in our life, eliminating the risk of a strong injury altogether. Of course,
Can you guys hear this? Is it too muddy? I think it's the speaker thing. Okay. So we'll pass on that. Basic concept is to first size up the lift, make sure that you can handle it. Second, I'm going to see if I can do this for you guys here. Second is get down to the lift, crouchy, with your back straight, like this, okay, kind of squatting. Get it here and close to your body and come up. And then the mistake people mostly make is when we're changing direction is people tend to do this. That's really hard on your back. Better to get it up here and step around like this to change directions so that we can keep it close, keep our core tight, and then basically you reverse that to put it back down. Now obviously lifting techniques depend on what you're having to lift. You know, somebody who's a 400-pound patient who's on the ground who can't help themselves, a very uncomfortable, uncoordinated lift, it's much more of a challenge than just a box, okay? In those types of circumstances, using the equipment that we have available to us, using extra people will help keep you guys from injuring yourselves as best as we can, okay? All right, so that's the official medical talk. So the last thing I was asked to kind of talk a little bit about was basic little other topics with regard to the back. And so I kind of broke it down into kind of 4 things that we can talk a little bit about. I wanted to make this talk fairly brief so we could sit for a little bit and answer any questions that you might have. So 4 basic topics: osteoporosis. While people assume that osteoporosis is mostly related to women, it's not. Men do get osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a disease of weak bone. Basically, the calcium in the bones dissolves away and the bones become more fragile. And the reason why that's important is because it increases the chance of breaking a bone. For example, in the spine, there's somewhere between 700,000 and 1 million fractures in the spine that occur in the United States every year related to osteoporosis. And the reason why that's important is it's a painful problem, it puts people in the hospital, it costs a lot of money, and it can keep you out for a long period of time. So it's important for people, particularly women. The risk factors for osteoporosis are, number 1, family history, other family members in your family, particularly women, mothers, sisters, grandmothers who've had fractures without any real trauma. I bent over and tied my shoes and broke my back type of thing. Small white or Asian females, number 2. People who take prednisone or steroids on a regular basis. Cigarette smokers, again. Those combos we look to see, we want to try to prevent fractures from happening. We want to try to minimize the chance that fractures occur, and that's where treatment is done. Usually medication, but the most important thing that we can do for ourselves to keep our spine strong, even if we have osteoporosis, is what we call weight-bearing exercise. Putting weight through your body, lifting weight, standing, walking, rather than being sedentary. And then talking to your doctor about testing for how strong your bones are, and then if needed, if the bone's showing signs of weakness, using these various medications to try to prevent the osteoporosis from getting worse. Mattresses. I get a lot of questions from people about, Doc, what's the best mattress? Well, frankly, there's no data out there to tell us what is the best mattress. What we typically recommend to folks is if you're in line for a mattress or you've been having some back problems, a firm, not hard mattress is better than a soft mattress. So we typically tell people shy away from the pillow top, squishy top mattresses. Shy away from the memory foam mattresses that kind of lock you into one position so you can't shift and move. Water beds actually can be pretty good for your back because water doesn't compress. It's relatively firm. I've found that the Sleep Number beds, the inflatable air mattresses, actually can be very helpful in making people more comfortable with their back because you can adjust the firmness of the mattress. If your mattress is 15 years old and saggy in the middle, it's time to get a new mattress. The tough part about mattresses, particularly if we have a spouse who's in the same bed, and particularly like with me and my wife, I'm big, she's little, there's such a difference in size, it can be a real challenge to find a mattress that's comfortable for both. But again, no real magic to mattresses. I think firmer rather than not firm is really the best advice that I can give you. Make sure your bed is in reasonably good condition. Thirdly, cigarette smoking, we talked about that. It's not the heart and lung problems that are the problem with smoking and your spine. It's the deterioration of the moving parts. All the chemicals in cigarette smoke, not nicotine, but the other chemicals, causes loss of blood flow to the parts, which basically those parts kind of die off. They can't rejuvenate or regenerate themselves, and they break down. So we see a far, far, far greater number of people who are cigarette smokers have lower back pain than people who are not smokers. And so it's one of the modifiable things that we can do, not only for our general health, but also for our back health. And then lastly is exercise. Sedentary lifestyle is the bane of our existence. I think everybody, no matter what size or shape you are, can benefit from exercise. And what I mean by exercise is working on strengthening the core muscles, which are the muscles from your shoulders down to your butt. So it's crunches for your abs, extension exercises for your lower back, flexibility and stretching of the hamstring tendons in the backs of your legs. Aerobic exercise like walking, running, riding a bike are great for your heart and lungs, actually don't do much for your back. So you really need to not only stay moving, but you need to keep these other muscle parts stronger. And so my Christmas gift to you guys, I'm going to give you, I found this video that's actually very good, 3 simple exercises that you can work on at home to kind of keep your core strong with no equipment or anything over the long term. Now, the important thing about exercise is you got to keep doing it. The Father Time is an ugly, ugly guy, okay? We don't get better. What we're trying to do is keep from getting worse as far as the deterioration of our bodies. So the earlier people take on maintaining a strong core, the better their backs will be. So give this a look and consider adding this to your activities of daily living.
Hi, I'm Tom Holland, Bowflex Fitness Advisor, and these are 3 exercises for a healthy lower back. I like to say we either do these exercises as prehab, or you'll be forced to do these exercises as rehab. So taking just a couple minutes a day, several times per week, will completely make a difference in your lower back health. So here they are. Elsa's going to demonstrate 3 simple exercises you can do in the privacy of your own home to help keep your back healthy. Superman is number 1. Elsa will lift her hands and her feet at the exact same time she's working her spinal erector muscles, the low back muscles. She's going to transition from that after about 10 to 15 repetitions and do the bird dog, opposite arm, opposite leg, and alternating. Once again, very simple, 10 to 15 repetitions, and then she's going to go from that to the plank, an exercise that works our entire core, the front and the back at the same time. Start doing what you can, 10, 15 seconds, build up to about 60. And that's it. 3 simple exercises, several times a week, will completely change your lower back health. For more tips like this and more fitness content, please subscribe to our channel.
Get fit fast with Home Fitness Solutions by Bowflex.
Anyway, so as you can see, very simple, basic exercises, no equipment. You can do it anywhere you are. I think those 3 exercises alone can, if you do them regularly, every day, he says 3 days a week, I say just do them every day, will overall, no matter where you are in life, will help you make your back stronger and more durable. And that's really the key to trying to keep us from getting out of work, getting out of life, getting out of the things we enjoy because we're down in our back, okay? We can't prevent it, we can't stop it from happening, but we can minimize the chance that it's going to keep us out for a long term, okay? The good news about back pain, back problems, is most of the time people get better. Most of the time these episodes are temporary, and it's very uncommon for people to need surgery on their back. Surgery is always the last thing we try to do, not anywhere near the first thing we try to do for the majority of people. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, watch how you bend, lift, and twist, and as I tell people, be kind to your spine, okay? Anyway, that's it. I wanted to make this short so that you had an opportunity to think about things, ask questions. I'm here to answer anything that I can to try to help. And if you don't have any questions, enjoy the meal, and Merry Christmas to you.
Dr. Spellman,
Yes,
can you send us a link for that video, the Bowflex video?
I sure can.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I've already forgotten 2 of them.
yeah, I can.
And they only exercise for like 2 minutes. Is that the normal length of time I should exercise? Or
Well, that's for your back. Yeah.
one set of each one of those?
Yeah, you can do 10 to 15 reps of each of those exercises, of the first 2. The third one is a time thing. So you work up to about 1 minute to 2 minutes of doing the plank. And so that 5-minute block every day, if you do it every day, it builds up over time.
You talked about stretching your hamstrings. Is that
Yes.
as important as doing? Can you elaborate on that and how that all ties in?
Yeah, so the hamstrings are the muscles in the back of our thighs, and typically if we're sedentary or we don't work on flexibility, and particularly in men, frankly, they get tighter. And as they get tighter, your pelvis tilts up toward the front, and your back has to arch backwards in order to keep you standing upright. If your pelvis tilts up and your back didn't arch backwards, you'd fall over on your face. And so it's this balance thing of keeping your head over your hips. And so loose hamstrings, tight core helps keep our head above our hips. And so we're not arching back against the joints and wearing those out, or having to fatigue those muscles to try to keep us upright. Many times people who do a lot of standing, say at a counter or something like that, will complain of upper back, shoulder area pain, end of the day. Gosh, I find myself slouching like this. Well, the reason why is those muscles fatigue. They get tired. And as they get tired, they get uncomfortable. And as they get uncomfortable, you want to find that comfortable position, which is this, okay? Well, that's counterproductive. So that's where the strengthening and overall keeping things flexible really plays in. As we get older, the tendons and all the soft tissues, the muscles, get tighter anyway. And so we have to kind of keep after it to battle the ravages of Father Time in order to keep us upright and mobile. Sir?
So you're hearing more and more that, sort of sitting is the new smoking, right?
Right.
Is there some truth to that? And if so, what are your thoughts on the stand-up desk? And is there a particular brand that's better than another?
Great question. I think it's absolutely true. I think people are really recognizing the fact that sitting is very detrimental to us, not just from a skeletal perspective, but also just from a health perspective. The standing desk is a great concept. I use one myself in the office. There's really no magic to them. There's the freestanding desk. There's the devices that sit on a counter that allow you to come up and down. I think whatever fits in your space, whatever seems to work for your environment, I think it's a good idea. I think your muscles will be better, your circulation will be better, your back will be better. Because typically what people do is they'll sit for a while, they'll stand for a while, they'll sit for a while. It's this changing position, keeping moving. Doing one thing all the time over and over again is what's hard on our bodies. So I'm a big fan. I know that employers are kind of like, but I think that more and more we're seeing employers, particularly for folks who are really stuck to the desk, employers are more and more open to that. And I think it's a good option for most people.
Are there recommended time intervals for that standing and sitting?
Not really. You don't want to be a slave to the clock. but, you know, kind of common sense or just basic stuff. Every 15 minutes, change position. Every 30 minutes, up, you know, kind of thing is really kind of a good idea. If we start getting into that marathon sessions of I'm spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours without changing positions, that's where we start really building up that bad stuff.
I guess my last question to that is that, I'm not sure how to ask this, are insurance companies recognizing the standing desk, and are they adjusting rates at all for that kind of thing?
It's a good question. I have no idea. I would probably say no at this point, simply because, frankly, I don't think there's insurance companies want to see hard and fast data, and there's not enough data yet. I think they will come around, but it's going to be a while. Yeah.
What about
Sir?
working out with weights? Is that bad for your back?
It's not. I think strength training, resistance training is good. I think where it can be bad for your back is bad technique. Okay, so I don't know how many of you participate with CrossFit, for example. CrossFit is a very aggressive type of exercise style. There's actually really no problems with CrossFit in and of itself, but CrossFit tries to drive people past their failure point, and so their technique goes bad, and that's where they get hurt. So I think that, you know, body weight only exercise is certainly enough for people as far as core strength and whatnot, but adding resistance and adding muscular strength and more bulk is certainly very good for you as well. It's really just a matter of technique, so don't lift more than you can. Don't work past failure. It's probably better to go lower weights, more repetitions than high weights, few repetitions, especially as we get older, because our parts start wearing out, and you know, our muscles aren't as strong, our ligaments aren't as limber, and our joints don't want to move as well, and so we have to kind of dial things back a little bit to accommodate what our bodies can do. It's a good question. Yes, sir.
I had a question about like chiropractors. I did it in the past, a little bit here and there, just here and there, not on a regular basis. But a lot of chiropractors on the offices are trying to get people on a regular thing, like long-term manipulation or something. So how does that impact issues and skeletal issues? Or is it positive, neutral, or could it potentially have some negative?
That's an interesting, very controversial kind of question. If you had a chiropractor up here, they'd give you a different answer than I would. I'm actually not anti-chiropractic. I'm neutral on chiropractic. I think chiropractic is a good modality for certain problems. For those of you who've never been to a chiropractor, essentially chiropractic is manipulation of the joints of the spine, pushing the joints further than you can push them themselves to try to provide more mobility in the joints. They theorize that they're bringing more blood flow and whatnot to the joints. But in any event, I'm not a big fan of chronic maintenance therapy with chiropractic. I think there's a little bit of a scam component there. If somebody's having no symptoms, I don't think that's really necessary. I think it's a far better idea for people to exercise regularly, stretch regularly as a maintenance, rather than the chiropractic maintenance. I don't think there's any downsides to it, except for your wallet, frankly. But I don't think that there's really a need for chiropractic as a maintenance. Certainly chiropractors, despite some, and there's a whole variety of chiropractors, just like there's a whole variety of physicians, some chiropractors claim they can cure diseases and cancer and diabetes and fix a scoliosis, curvature of the spine in a little child and that kind of thing. I don't buy that. But I do believe that chiropractic, particularly in an acute type of injury or an acute episode of back pain, chiropractic can be very helpful in getting people past the initial phase of the problem. I look at it as manual therapy. It's kind of on the end spectrum of physical therapy in some regards. There's some objects and things, lasers and weird little hammers and stuff that some chiropractors potentially use that are pretty suspect. But I think the adjustments, I think the stretching and the exercise, many chiropractors also initiate physical therapy, is a good thing. But it should have a time limit. Just like any treatment, if you're not getting better after X period of time, we need to change gears and do something else. Yeah. Well, I hope you have a nice holiday. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this was somewhat helpful to you. If not, maybe it's just paid time sitting here eating lunch. I don't know.